Ukraine and Russia have carried out a prisoner swap, with Russia releasing over 200 prisoners of war in return for 55 Russians and Ukrainian oligarch and Putin associate Victor Medvedchuck. 10 foreigners were among the prisoners handed over by Russia, including 5 British and 2 US nationals who were flown to Saudi Arabia. Many of the Ukrainian prisoners had been captured during the siege of Mariupol. All right, well, let's turn to our correspondent, Emmanuel Shaz, who's in Kharkiv in northeastern Ukraine. Hi, Emmanuel. Good to see you. So, a significant and perhaps unexpected development that had to involve a great deal of negotiation, right?
Exactly, Pablo. First off, you might hear behind me there's the national anthem being played here all over Kharkiv. It happens every day. It is played in the memory of the soldiers of Ukraine who lost their lives during this life, and how not to think about the more than 50 soldiers who recently died on July 29th in the prison of Olenivka in Donbas. This had been a national trauma, and waking up to the news of the liberation of 215 prisoners of war, including over 100 prisoners who were part of the Azov battalion who defended Mariupol. Well, this came as a much needed and pleasant surprise here for Ukrainians. Yesterday evening, as the news started to be published, to be made official, I can tell you there's not one Ukrainian person I'm in contact with who didn't, erupt with joy. Social media was full of celebrations. This was unexpected. We knew negotiations were on the way. Turkey and Saudi Arabia played a role there with Azovstal commanders, 5 Azovstal commanders being in Turkey right now. They're forbidden to go back to Ukraine. Those were the terms of the agreement, but I think a lot of relief here on the Ukrainian side.
Well, the music has stopped there for you, Emmanuel, so maybe you can hear us a little bit better. Was Ukraine's negotiating stance, do you think, bolstered by their recent gains on the field?
Well, so it was an exchange of prisoners. 55 Russian prisoners were returned to Russia, including Victor Medvedchuck, who's a lawmaker who was charged with high treason here in Ukraine. He's Putin's close ally, and when he was made prisoner a few months ago, Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukrainian president, had suggested an exchange of prisoners, and the Kremlin had absolutely ruled that out back then. Now those negotiations took place again at a moment where Ukraine is gaining momentum on the field, at a moment where its counter-offensive is going quite well. So we can see there that Ukraine is having the upper hand, and perhaps this has led to the success of those negotiations. Among the people liberated, so Azovstal defenders, also pregnant women, military personnel, pregnant military were released. A lot of people also who were, those pictures we saw back in May of emaciated soldiers. This is really a moment of joy here in Ukraine, with the President Volodymyr Zelensky saying that Ukraine was not leaving its soldiers behind.
DW correspondent Emmanuel Shaz in Kharkiv. Thank you.